Alrighty, hello everybody. For today's video, I just really quickly wanted to talk about what you should be building right now on support in Smite 2 patch OB12. That's Open Beta 12. Now, this build that I'm going to show you and build options that I'm going to show you is based on my own personal testing, my own experiences, but also just watching games in the community, looking at stats from items, patch notes, stuff like that. And I think this is going to be a really good video for people who are a little bit newer to building, and maybe you want some good options, but also you want routes to go. You don't just want a like, hey, this is what you should build every game. You want, this is what you should build most games, and here's what you change and why. And that's what this video is going to be. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get started with it. And the first thing I want to talk about is your starter item, because that's the item you're starting the game with. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of starter items, but in support, you're really only ever looking at two, and that's Selflessness and War Flag. Now, between the two, right now, 99.9% of games, it's actually closer, like probably like 80%, but you're going to get Selflessness between Selflessness and War Flag. The shield that Heroism gives you once you upgrade it, even with the nerf, is still insanely strong, and it should always be prioritized if the enemy team has heavy hard CC. Like if they have a Loki ult, this is an immediate pickup for me. If they have any pulls, immediate pickup. This is just a fantastic item for your team. It makes your teammates extremely tanky later on because they're able to get out of fights with that huge shield. And it also gives you a lot of stuff as well. You know, you're getting 10 of each protection and 60 health to start. And then later on, you're getting 30 of each and 200 max health. Now, War Flag is a good option. It's not bad. Don't get me wrong. It's just what Selflessness and Heroism are able to do heavily just beats out what War Flag and War Banner can do. This one's only giving you 30 of each procs and 200 health. And then the passive is just, you know, when you get an assist on an enemy minion or a jungle monster, you get an extra 1% health and 1% mana to you and allied god. So it's healing as well. That's pretty nice. And then it gives you attack speed and movement speed. But even though with that healing and that attack speed and movement speed, that shield most of the time is just going to be better. However, you can go War Flag if you're playing like a hunter support, arrows build kind of build, or like a Bologna support. This is not going to be a bad option. Or even if you're playing like a team that has like 3 hunters or 3 carries, 3 attack speed focused characters, like maybe you're playing on a team with like a Rama, a Nemesis, and then a Bologna. Not a bad choice, but still generally speaking, this is going to be better. But use your judgment on when to go War Flag, because it's not bad all the time. It's not even bad at all. It's just, this is just better. So use your judgment there, but usually you're going Selflessness. Now, after Selflessness in this first slot, this is when things are really important, and this is when counter building really comes into play. Right now, in this first slot, if you're building tanky support, which for the purposes of this video, I think I'm only going to talk about tanky support because most people, that's what they're interested in. But anyway, if you're building tanky support, this first item is almost always going to be something that has health on it. So you're usually rushing this medallion because this gives you 75 health and it makes your early game incredibly strong. And then with the Selflessness, you're leaving the fountain with Selflessness, medallion, 3 health, and 3 multi-pots, and you're incredibly tanky. You can also, if you don't think you need the multi-pots, like if you think you just win lane easily and don't need the sustain, you can get rid of the multi-pots and get wards instead. That's a good choice, but I usually just get multi-pots and save, play it safe there. Relic, you're always going to get Shell right now. Otherwise, you're getting Sunder or maybe Blink. Never beats Aegis. You just don't really need them, especially with Talisman being in the game, and we're going to talk about the next. But primarily, it's going to be Shell, Sunder, or Blink. Go Sunder if you want to invade early on, like if you're playing a character that can invade the enemy jungle really well, like a Hunbats or Fenrir, Yimmy, or something like that does inherent damage that can invade well. Go Sunder. You can also use it to secure objectives late game, get some kills as well. It's not a horrible choice, but Phantom is just overall better. And then Blink, if you're playing a character like Geb or Ares, this is a good option because it lets you engage and set up kills really easily as well. All right, but now let's go back and talk about this first slot here. So when I say health item, right now, the way that tankiness in Smite is, most of your defense, and when I say defense, what I mean is most of your like quote unquote protections is coming from health. Now in Smite 1, it was mostly protections and mitigations, but in Smite 2, health is a lot more valuable than it ever has been in Smite. So when I say that, what you're looking for in this first slot is you're looking for an item like Gauntlet of Thebes, Talisman of Purification, or Stampede. If you think you really need that passive, or sorry, that active that you get from proccing it, that's when you want to go Stampede or Talisman of Purification. Or if they have a very heavy damage comp, like let's say they have a double physical duo lane that you know is just going to be shredding you, they have a lot of slows, a Stampede Rush is going to be really good. If they have a highly magical comp with lots of CC, a Talisman is going to be really good in this first slot. Or if you don't think you need either of those yet, and you can get Thebes, then get Thebes. It's 1,000 health once you get it fully stacked, and it's not bad. This first item really needs to be something that's just heavy on the health, because health is super important. You're not really going a Leviathan side, because although it does give you health, it's really not that great on support because you're never getting this to a point where it's going to be insanely stacked to the point where Thebes isn't just going to be better for you. So I think you really are just looking at these three main items as your first slot. If you're going a tanky build, you're looking at Gauntlet of Thebes, Stampede, or Talisman of Purification because of what they can do. So let's say, for instance, we went the Stampede here. Your next slot, you're almost always going to go Spirit Robe no matter what you built here. Spirit Robe is a phenomenal defensive item. It gives you 25 of each protection. And then when you're hit by hard CC, you get 40 of each protection and you're healing for 6% of your max health during that time, which is phenomenal because your first item is always going to be a health item. So you're always getting benefits from that. And it's just really good. Spirit Robe is a must buy on almost every character. And it's just extremely important. Now, if you still want Thebes, third slot is not a bad choice to get it. Gets you more health, which makes the Spirit Robe better, and that's fine. But me personally, if I'm getting Thebes, I usually end up getting it just first, just to play it safe, and then I get Spirit Robe, and then you get either that Stampede or Talisman in this third slot, and you go from there. But anywho, for this build, we're talking about the Stampede or Talisman Rush, then Spirit Robe, then Thebes. Now, in this slot, you're probably going to get either the Talisman of Purification or Circe's Hexstone. You really want another big health item, big active item. So I personally like getting Talisman here and pushing off Circe's, but Circe's is going to be important in most support builds right now, just because of how good it is. You're getting a lot of health. It's not as much. It did get a pretty decent nerf, but you're also getting cooldown rate, and the passive, or the active, sorry, is just really strong on it. So what I like to do is I like to get Talisman here, and then I get another item here, and then I get Circe's in this last slot as my like final pickup if I'm going for a true tank build. Now this slot here, before we buy Circe's, this is going to be your what do I need to counter build slot. You know, you have other counter build options like, you know, swapping the Talisman or the Stampede, but this is just your general one-size-fits-all support build, which you shouldn't be going every game, but most games, if you don't really want to think about building, this is going to be good. So what should you go in this slot? It's between a few items here for me. You're looking at a Ruinous Ankh if you're a dive support. Ganesh really isn't a dive support, so he's not going Ruinous Ankh. Spectral if they have crit. This is an amazing item again because of it reducing the attack speed and the critical strike damage. This is a very good item. If they go crit, absolutely buy it. You can get it earlier if you need to, but in this slot, it's great. I also really like Draconic Scale. This is a very good tank item. It gives you health, gives you prots, and then every time you get damaged, it gives you prots based on that damage type. It's a very good slot filler. If you need more cooldown in your build, Freya's Tears is really good. Gives you 20 of each prot and 20 cooldown rate. If you have heavy CC, you can go Stone of Binding for some prot shred. If they have a lot of shields, you can get an Erosion. There's a lot you can build here, but it's really going to be up to you. You could even throw in some items like Trine's Conch, Gem of ISO, you know, some damage items if you think you just need a little bit more damage and less defense. But this is, generally speaking, if I don't need any of, like, if I don't need a Spectral, if I don't need anti-heal, I'm getting a Draconic Scale or a Freya's Tears here, and you are just a monster. And then when you upgrade your Heroism, you're at right now 4,000 health, 180, 160 of each prot. As you're getting damaged, you're going to get even more. You're super tanky because of your health and because of your active items. You're super safe. You're making your team super safe with the Stampede, with the Beads, with the Circe's. Plus, you're also just whatever character you're playing, you inherently are making your team safe. And when you get Thebes stacked, remember, you're getting an additional like 800 health. So realistically, you're closer to 5K with this build. And this is just my general tank build. And again, you know, the Stampede and the Talisman can be swapped. So if they're a magical heavy team, you can go that. If they're physical heavy team, go like that. And this is just a really good general one-size-fits-all build. Right now, with just how good these three active items are, there's really, if you're playing a tank support, there's really never a time you're going any other active item. And it's kind of sad, but that's just the case right now. But also, these active items are so good that you really would never want another active item anyway. So why does it matter? You could maybe justify a Pridwin, but honestly, these are just so much better. And if you really need tankiness, then you could absolutely sacrifice one of these for a Dwarven Plate. Like, let's say if they're an all magical team, you get rid of Stampede and you get Dwarven Plate. If they're an all physical team, you get rid of Talisman and you get Dwarven Plate. You get the idea. Because what this will do is this will make all of your protections more efficient for that one damage type because you can swap it. Didn't talk about Nemean, but this is another great option to go when you don't have either the Stampede or the Talisman. Now, you have to really think about this. Is the value you're getting from Nemean going to be better than the Stampede? Because for yourself, it's going to make you a lot tankier. It's going to help in team fights, but overall, does it hurt your team by not giving them the movement speed and the slow cleanse from the Stampede? Another option, you know, is Mystical Mail. This is a great option right now because it's actually reducing enemy shields. And this is another another really good counter build item. But yeah, there's a lot I could talk about building, and I plan on doing much more in-depth videos where I talk about different characters and what they want to build. But for right now, I felt like this just generic what should you be building right now video was going to be a lot more beneficial for you guys. If you agree, please, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all later. Peace out.